I think it just clicked. And I was like, I'm done. Like, I don't want this either. Like, I don't really want this. This is something that like society has put into my brain that I have to do this as a woman, or this has to happen, or I am less than. And there was so much happening like in your late 30s, in your early 40s of being like, if you're not a mom, you're literally nothing.
I'm Keltie McGuire, and you're listening to the Kids Are Childfree podcast. Hello, and welcome to the Kids Are Childfree podcast. All right, what are we going to be talking about today? Well, today I want to table something that I'm hearing from a lot of you, which is this idea that if you choose a child-free life, you need to somehow do something extraordinary to make up for the fact that you are not procreating and raising humans. That you need to go, I don't know, win the Nobel Peace Prize or save the children or whatever else, which, you know, of course, are noble pursuits. But if you want to live a quiet, simple, peaceful, we can even say mundane, child-free existence, that is totally acceptable and fine. And so when I saw today's guest talking about doing just that, showing videos on Instagram of her doing meal prep and going to the gym and watching Netflix with her husband, I thought, you go girl, because by all accounts, she seems to have a really beautiful, simple life. And she is unapologetic about the fact that she does not need to be doing any big extraordinary thing because she chose not to have kids. Today, we're speaking with Tina Martinez, who is a food producer at Good Housekeeping magazine with over 15 years of experience across recipe development, food styling, and culinary content production. Originally from New Jersey, Tina has spent the past 25 years living everywhere from Queens and Brooklyn to California and Washington, D.C., before settling in Westchester with her husband. Outside the kitchen, Tina's passionate about fitness and staying active. You can find her running, weightlifting, hiking local trails, or exploring neighborhood breweries. Tina, I'm so glad to have you here today. Before we get into this conversation about your child-free life, maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself and your life today.
Okay. Well, I live in Westchester, New York. My husband and I moved up here about just over 3 years ago from Brooklyn. He's born and raised in Brooklyn. I'm originally from New Jersey, but moved to New York City probably in 2001. So I've probably lived in the New York area longer than I've lived in the New Jersey area at this point. I work in the culinary industry. I am a recipe developer, recipe tester. Actually, my catch-all phrase or my catch-all title is food producer because I also do video content and just kind of like a jack of all trades in that world. And I work at a magazine called Good Housekeeping. It's pretty well known and, you know, speaks to women from probably like 30 to 70 years old. So that's, you know, basically who I am.
Amazing. Okay, cool. Yes, I'm definitely familiar with Good Housekeeping. Now, of course, we have an international audience, so some people may not be familiar with it. And it sounds like a very
magazine.
Cool. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it sounds like a cool job to have. Now, you are also child-free by choice. I'm curious, was that a decision you had to come to? Did that feel like an identity that was sort of inherent, like you knew you would never have children? I'd love to hear about that.
It's you know, it's really strange. I never had a calling or a real strong desire to have children. I've felt this way ever since I was younger. My mom and I feel like I had conversations with her when I was like in high school and in college. And I was like, hey, Mom, like, don't be shocked if I don't have a kid, because it just never really spoke to me. I never wanted to be pregnant. I just felt like it was like this out of body experience that I really, truly never wanted to experience.
Yeah.
And you know, there were times in my life where I had, you know, partners and I thought, oh, you know, could I see having a child with this person? Do I want a child with this person? And I had like a few pregnancy scares, you know, as most young adults do. And I was like, oh my God, this is so scary. Like, what would I do, you know, in this situation? And, you know, I just never really had a strong desire. And then I met my current husband, my only husband.
My first husband. Call him your first husband. They like that.
I just say my current partner, but he is my husband. Bless. So, we did consider it for like a hot minute, to be frank.
Mm-hmm.
And we tried. And I think I really thought to myself, I was like, oh my God, like, what if we do get pregnant? Like, is that something I want? And I was actually like scared out of my mind. I was like, I don't think this is something I want. And I think I've always known that. I just never really, I don't know. I guess it just kind of was something I always wanted. And I think I just finally realized it, like in my early 40s.
Yeah. Okay. And I was going to ask, so when did you meet your partner then? And like, when did you start trying? How old would you have been then?
He's 6.5 years younger than me. So he was about 31, 32 when we met. I was 38. We had dated for a good few years. So I would say we tried when I was probably in my early 40s, because I literally have always said this. I said, if I don't get pregnant by 40, it's never happening. Like, I don't want to be pregnant after 40. So it was like something that I thought about consciously from a very young age, maybe I always knew that I was going to get married later in life, or I would find my partner later in life, because there were so many things I wanted to accomplish. Like, I just never wanted to be married young. I always wanted to like have experiences and do all the things. When I finally met, my now husband, we talked about it and we were like, is this something you want? Do you want this? And I think we were both on the same page as, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And that's where we lied. And I specifically remember the time we tried. And I remember my husband coming to me afterwards and he said, you know what? I don't want to try anymore. And he said, because I don't want to lose you. And I already feel like I'm losing you in this process. You are so focused on trying to have this baby. And I think there was multiple people in my life at the time who were having children. And I was like, well, we got to do it. Like we have to do it too. And I kind of became like a little depressed and was in this
because you were trying, or because you didn't have a child?
We were trying and we weren't successful. I felt so silly as a woman that I didn't know it was harder than just having sex without a condom. And I was like in my 40s, not having given any kind of information as to like IVF or like the process, or I'm like, oh, don't you just like have sex and get pregnant? Like, that's what we were always told, Yeah. And it was just a really funny situation. And when it wasn't happening, I was like, I feel weird. Like, why do I feel weird? And honestly, after we had that conversation, I think it just clicked. And I was like, I'm done. Like, I don't want this either. Like, I don't really want this. This is something that like society has put into my brain that I have to do this as a woman, or this has to happen, or I am less than. And there was so much happening like in your late 30s, in your early 40s of being like, if you're not a mom, you're literally nothing.
Yeah.
And it's horrible messaging. It really, truly is. Like, so many people are like, are you going to be happy if you're not a mom? Like, oh, you're going to change your mind. You're going to want to be a mom. Like and it's just, like, everything is about being a mom. You're only a good woman if you are a mom. You are only successful. You are only like the best hero, like the best person. And like so much messaging comes with being a mom. And don't get me wrong, like moms are incredible. Like that is not what this is about. Like I see moms as superheroes, but also I don't feel, because we have chosen to not have children, to be less than. And I had a relative once say to me, and I love her dearly. And she was speaking to the general, like she was speaking to a group of us. And she said, there's only one big surprise in life. And that's to not find out the sex of your child. And I'm like, well, I guess I have no surprises then in life.
Wow. Yeah.
And she was like, no, that's not what I meant. And I'm like, no, that's exactly what you meant. And I have not stopped thinking about that, because I just think it is really unfair. Because there are many types of women, and I feel bad for women. Not bad, bad's the wrong word. Like, I always look at women who really want children and they basically create their whole identity around it. And if they can't have it, it's like the end of the world.
Yeah.
And I find that so sad because I'm not that way. And I just feel sad because it's like you can find happiness. You can find true happiness on the other side. But there are more things to life, I believe, than just having children.
Yeah, no, I'm very much on the same page. I'm curious to know, so approximately how long were you trying for? And then was it really that conversation with your husband that you were like, okay, done, we're done?
I mean, we probably tried for like a few months, like not long at all.
Okay.
Not long at all. Because I think we were
seemingly
both
not too enthusiastically.
No.
Don't come near me.
I went to the
what
doctor,
are we doing?
like I went to the doctor and got all the tests done and everything. And I'm like, we're good. Like, I'm good, And then the doctor, I think I was scared because the doctor was like, oh, so you want to start IVF? And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. What? Like, is this how this works? Like,
even before you started trying, or like before, a few months later?
She was like, oh, you're in certain age. Like, we gotta, and she's like, are you ready? And I was like, what? No, and I think that was really like another like ding, like, I'm not there. I'm not this person. So like other women would be like, let's go. And I just was like, woo, backpedal, So I think that was like kind of another tip off to me that I just wasn't, it wasn't something that I wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so funny how we kind of like, not all of us, of course, but like we can almost like force ourselves to do the thing that we're not even sure at all that we want. Like, and not to say this doesn't happen in other areas of life, like it certainly does. But, speaking with a couple clients recently, it's like, one of them said something to the extent of like, well, maybe, I do want it, but I just don't really know I want it. And it's like, it's not like we go to a restaurant and we're like, well, maybe I do want the pizza, but I just don't feel like I want the pizza. But if I get the pizza, then I'll like the pizza. It's like, I know this is like a silly comparison, but it's so weird that we have this idea that we somehow like, I don't know. It's like, and this is no shade to you and your husband, like, but to move towards something so big, even though you didn't really want it, because that's just the done thing.
I know, it's kind of sad. Like, we thought we had to do this because, and not from like any family pressure. Like, honestly, his mother was like, woo, his mother was just like, you know what, you do you guys. Yeah. And because she knows, like, she's a very progressive woman at, now 76 years of age, but funny because she's, Hispanic. You would think like she wants a million children, but she completely understood where we were coming from. You enjoy your life. And, my mom and dad are the same. I just never had any pressure coming from them. So that was not even an issue. It was more, like I said, like societal, people asking, things like that.
Yeah. Well, and I'm glad you mentioned that, only because like, certainly, with people listening, I know there are people who are getting like very explicit pressures from people. And I sometimes have people say things like, I don't know why I feel this like sense of like pressure, or I feel shameful that I don't want this, because they say nobody's telling me this. And it was similar for me. Like, I don't think my dad, he's since passed, but like, I don't think he ever mentioned anything about me or any of us having kids. And my mom was like, no pressure at all. Like she didn't ask about it. She didn't comment. She's been very understanding of my decision. And yet it's so kind of like, it's like in the air we breathe, right? It's like, I don't know about you, you're 50 today, right?
Yeah.
Or like not today,
but
I think I'm like, happy birthday. At this point in time, I'm 44, but like, I had basically no examples of people, and not basically, I had no examples of people who had chosen not to have kids.
Yeah.
Probably until like, I don't know, my mid-late 20s, 30. Like I flat out did not know people. And I don't know, did you know many people who chosen not to have children?
Funny, my aunt, my father's sister didn't have children, but I wouldn't say that I would have said she probably wanted them, but her husband didn't. So she's lived a different type of life because of it. I think she's, fine now, but had she chosen, I think she would have probably chosen to have children. I've never had this conversation with her, so I can't speak for her, but she was probably the only example I had growing up. Everyone else I knew had children. So in that regard, I feel sort of like a trailblazer, because of it, because I had this wildly different idea of life.
Yeah.
And
so what was the idea of life? Sorry, continue your thought.
no.
I'm jumping
Just
ahead.
like, I just never saw kids like in the picture, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But so you were like, yeah, what are we doing? Let's stop. But it sounds like, how did you kind of move past like those implicit or sort of external pressures? Like has there been stuff that you've had to work through to feel more confident in this decision? Or was it just like, okay, done, we're not doing it, and like life's good?
I think when my husband told me that he didn't want to lose me, it was kind of just like this, like I said, like a light bulb moment. He was basically telling me like, I want this just to be about us. And it also gave me the confidence that, because I think some men or some people will say, oh, I don't want children, to appease their partner. But then ultimately they're like, oh no, I do want kids. And we checked in a lot of times because my husband is wonderful with children. Every time I see him with children, I'm like, oh my God, you're so great. You're so natural, that I still always have to check in. I'm like, like, are you sure this is something you want? And he was like, absolutely. So I think that when we had that conversation, I think I was just like, we can move forward as just us. And we're going to pour everything into us, our relationship, our communication. And that is vast. That is just like hugely important to me, is just working on our relationship, because all we have is each other. We have other people, obviously, but like what our main focus is each other.
Yeah. I have to say, like, having seen some little like snippets of him on your Instagram reels and stuff, he seems like a real sweetie. Like, he seems very funny. He's pretty darn handsome, I'll say. Like, and I can see there's just like a really playful energy between the two of you. Like, I see the little, butt pats as you head out the door to the gym, and like him kind of joking, creeping into the camera, playing. I saw one of your recent, outfit, the fit checks together, as the kids call it. Can you speak a little bit to this like piece of investing in your relationship, maybe what that translates to or looks like? Because it's not to imply that people with children can't have that kind of like deeply invested relationship. And I think it's a perk of being child free that we don't actually talk that much about. We talk about like, oh, we can travel and we have freedom. And that's all nice too. But talk to me about the relationship piece of being child free.
I do want to touch on that. And like, I want to say that there are couples out there that have a beautiful relationship, that have children. And I respect that. And I think that's incredible. But I also think that there is a lot of couples out there that completely forget about each other and focus solely on the children. And then that's how partnerships disintegrate, basically. Yeah. And I think that you have to constantly work on your relationship. You have to communicate. You have to thank each other, appreciate each other. And I think there's just like a lot of resentment among couples that have children. And I just see not having children as a way for us to really focus on each other and to just appreciate that. And we do. I take our relationship like very seriously, because it's, the one relationship I have to focus on. And, there's like always that meme, not even a meme that would make it funny. It's not funny. It's like videos that show, if I could choose you again in every lifetime, like I would look for you. Like I will always look for you in every room, because you are the most important person to me. And I feel like we always say, like, we feel so lucky, so blessed that we had found each other, and to feel the same way about not wanting children, in the fact that like, we're like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. We have each other. And that's really, at the end of the day, the most important thing that matters. Yeah. So, we try to spend time together. We spend solo time. Like we're very like, you do your thing, I do my thing. And at the end of the day, we come together. Whatever that looks like, if we go out on a date, if we're just, he's doing his Legos in one room, I'm cooking dinner in the other room. Just the fact that you're near is all I need. I just feel like it's really important. Like your partner is like, if that's what you choose, a partner, like that is so important, because that's the person that's going to pick you up when you fall, and vice versa. So that's all I want at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting because, and of course, the people I speak with are either fence sitters, or I do work with some women to help them like solidify their confidence in being child free. So I just mentioned that because, of course, I know moms, but it's like not who I'm speaking with in my work. And something I notice with people who choose the child free path is they seem to have what I guess from outside perspective feels like a really high quality, deeply loving, incredible partnership for those who are partnered.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's not to imply that people who choose to have kids don't have that. Of course, I see this as well. But and part of it, I think, is a result of people being intentional in this decision, is it also breeds intentionality in other areas of their life, like their romantic partnership. But it comes up with a lot of people that they're just like, this feels like something so precious that I really want to like guard and protect in this decision. And it's also like the thing for me. And with that, there can be a fear. And I guess I want to, first of all, share just a funny little story, but also a personal anecdote. I know for me, when I made the decision to be child free and my husband and I jointly made that decision, one big thing I had to work through, and I don't think there's any perfect way to find resolution around the fear of losing the one you love, but to feel like I'm like investing my life in a way in this like one person. I don't want to call it putting all your eggs in one basket, but it's not like the diversity of like having, children together, et cetera. That felt really fragile and scary. And I can remember talking about this with a group of women I was coaching around this, child-free decision, becoming more confident in that. And one of the women relayed that she was talking with a bunch of her mom friends. And she said, my biggest fear in life really, or like one of my big anxieties is like losing my partner. Like it would be the most devastating, horrific thing. And she said, these mom friends, all of whom were married, were kind of like, I mean, yeah. And it's, maybe for them, I'm sure losing a child, but it was almost kind of like they hadn't really maybe considered their partner in that light. And I don't know if that's because it's just a different decision or they're different people, or because maybe their relationship doesn't feel regarded in that way. But my client relayed, she's like, oh, that was kind of interesting for me because I thought, no, this is like the thing. And so I'm curious for you, like, can you speak to that? And do you have anxiety? Have you? And how have you navigated that? You're like, yeah.
I 1000% have anxiety about that. I'm also already like an anxious person, and I think about
me too.
Death and dying. I have huge anticipatory grief with my parents. They're 80 plus, and it keeps me up sometimes at night. Losing my husband does keep me up at night sometimes. There's been like a couple times I'm like, wait, you're not in the bed next to me. Like, where are you? Yeah,
I have that too.
I have had friends that have lost partners earlier in life, and that scares me. But I don't think there's a way to work through that. I think that's just like, I love you so much that like, if I were to lose you, like when we talk about this, we're like, we always say, like, if we were to lose one another or whatever, like if I lost you or you lost me, I give you permission to go out and find someone because you are that dear to me that I want you to make someone else this happy. Like, I want you to find the best love possible because you're just such a great person that you will make someone else so happy. And that would make me so happy that you went and did that. And he feels exactly the same way, because I always see people like joking, like, oh, he can't be with anyone else. And I 100% want you to be with someone else. But it's scary. It's scary. I'm not going to lie. I am not going to lie.
It is. And, I guess for me, like the way I've sort of thought about it for anyone who's dealing with, similar anxieties is recognizing that whether or not you have children, to lose your partner would be ultimately, one of the biggest devastations. And so having a child or not, it's like, we can say the upside is, well, you have your child. The downside is you have this child to care for who's now lost a parent. And, like we talk about tending to one's grief and like being in that sort of space, that's something that you, in some sense, I don't want to say you wouldn't have like time for, but that would be its own other challenge to manage. I think it's also indicative, to your point, that like it shows how much you love someone to be fearful of losing them. And I always joke, like, does anyone ever worry about losing that really difficult family member or relative, right? Like never, right? You're like, they're going to live forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's, it's not easy, but, okay. It's not just me and,
No,
you know,
absolutely not. You are not alone. Heck
I guess
no.
the last piece with that is like also as much as our, our person is like that key person in our life, our best friend, romantic partner, etc., to also remember to invest in like other people, relationships,
Yeah.
community. Like would you say for yourself, it's also been important to nurture other relationships, or is it like you guys kind of keep to yourself and
Oh, no, absolutely.
don't
It's
have other
funny.
friends?
I'm actually meeting with a group of women tonight that are all child free that
Cool.
are in the Westchester area. I put out a TikTok and I was like, hey, like, I want to see where my child free girlies are. Like, maybe we can get together. So we went to like get coffee once. Tonight we're going out for a drink. And funny enough, I haven't been able to make the other events that they did, but they're all like chilling, going to
so
brunch,
fun.
doing all these things. So tonight we're going to go get some drinks, but I also have some good girlfriends who just happen to be child free. And one of them's younger than me. So I'm like, God forbid anything happens to Marcos, like I'm coming to live with you. And she says the same thing, like she's like, God forbid anything happens to James, I'm coming to live with you. Like you're picking up the pieces. So I think it is very important. My family is important to me. I have a brother who has a daughter who is very important to me, and my sister-in-law, and Marcos has a niece and a nephew as well. So we have children in our lives that are very important to me. I have cousins that are important to me. Like, yeah, family is huge. And we make sure that we maintain those relationships.
Okay. And that's what I was going to ask. Like, do you feel like there's a level of intentionality there? Like, I guess just in general, because that's important, but also because you don't have kids. And did that change at all when you made the conscious decision, like in terms of, I don't know, to make decisions around like, oh, I want to make sure we show up for kids in this way, or has it just like kind of always been?
Yeah, it's always been there. I've always been sort of family orientated. So it hasn't really changed. They're still not of the age where they feel comfortable like staying over, but we're trying to like inch our way there. With my niece, I'm just like, every time I see her, I'm like, when you sleeping over? When you sleeping over?
How old is she?
She's 6.
Okay.
And,
soon.
Soon. I'm hoping soon she's going to feel like I want to go hang out with Aunt Tina and Aunt Marcos,
Yeah.
And like we can take her places and do things and stuff like that. But she's not completely there yet.
So fun.
Yeah.
I because I live in Germany and my family's in Canada. I mean, I'm trying to make an effort to get back twice a year, but I'm like, I don't want to rush away their childhood, but I'm like, oh, maybe when they're like 13 or 14, 15, they can like fly over and like come visit for a couple of weeks. And my brother's wife, her sister actually also lives about an hour from me here in Germany. And so there's also cousins here. So I'm like, oh, I kind of picture like mom and dad can send the kids over here. They can hang out with both aunties. So very cool. All right. Over the last few years, I have grown the types of offerings, the ways in which I can support you with your decision by quite a lot. I've got different workshops and events, and I've got my group coaching programs, and I have one-on-one coaching support. But the OG of them all is my Kids or Child Free workshop. And this is a workshop that has helped hundreds of people with their kids or child free decision. It's one that I host most months. You can find the upcoming dates on the website. We do have a session happening again on July 2nd. And this workshop is going to take you through some of the key reflection points and prompts, as well as the questions and exercises I personally used to get clear on my own kids or child free decision, and which have helped so many others. This 2-hour online workshop is also going to find you in a virtual room with others who are struggling with this decision, because I know how lonely this journey can be, and it can be so validating to hear from others who are struggling with the same decision and to hear about their own experiences in order to shed some light on your own and help you get some insights that can help you with your decision. If you want details on our Kids or Child Free workshop, check out the show notes of today's episode, or you can also find details over at kidsorchildfree.com under the Work With Me tab. Okay, I wanted, part of the reason you caught my attention is I'd seen one or two of your reels on Instagram, just talking about, kind of the simplicity of your day-to-day life, the routine, the going to the gym, the like making dinner. And that it struck piqued my interest, I should say, because what I hear from a lot of women who are thinking about remaining child-free or who have chosen that path is like, okay, well, the thing is like, I need to do something kind of in lieu of having kids. My life needs to be extraordinary.
Mm-hmm.
I need to be the best-selling author. I need to be a travel influencer. I need to be a Nobel Prize winning scientist. Like, it's like, I'm not sure if it's because they feel like their life would be too boring without children, or if it's like this feeling of obligation, like I got to bring something else to the world. A, have you ever felt like that? And B, can you like speak to, if not, or if you have, like, how have you managed to say, like, I can actually just live my life and that's enough?
Yes, absolutely. I do not miss that fact. I have tons of time to do whatever I want. I already have a 9-to-5 job. That takes up a large chunk of my week. Really, at the end of the day, we are only left with 2 days to actually even do anything. By the time I get home from work, it's like 6 o'clock. Like, what am I doing? Making dinner, watching a show, reading a book, going to bed. So like Marcos and I always talk about how could you imagine that you walk through those doors and then your second job begins and parents have no time for themselves, zero time for themselves. So really all I see is not having children is I have actual time for myself to do whatever it is I want to do. If I want to go thrifting, if I want to go grocery shopping, if I want to spend all day, out just dilly-dallying, I can do that. And I don't feel bad about that. I never feel bad about that. When I always say, when parents complain about being parents, you made that decision.
Do you say it to them?
No.
Bless you. You should.
I'm like, that was 100% your decision.
Yeah.
It's not going to be easy. So it's like, and I mean, whatever, because parents are complaining all the time. But at the end of the day, it's like, that was a decision that you made. Yeah. And this is the decision that I made. And I'm not going to apologize to anyone for being able to do whatever the heck I want all day long. But, really, I'm not, it's just, sometimes I'm just like lying on the couch reading. So like I said, sometimes I'm out grocery shopping. It's not like I have nothing to do. I have plenty to do to just exist as a person, as a human being. We have to keep ourselves fed. I love exercise. I choose an hour of my day or whatever it is to go exercise, to go for a walk, to be outside. But really at the end of the day, it is simple. I'm not doing anything crazy. But I don't feel like I have to go out and cure cancer.
Yeah.
I just
okay. And so how can we embrace this? How can we be more like you? If somebody's listening and they're like, but I feel like I do have to cure cancer.
You don't.
How can we give ourselves a permission slip?
I really think that you owe no one an apology for the way you choose to live your life. And a lot of the times people are like, oh, but you're so in shape. You're so this. And I do sometimes say, well, I don't have children. And I mean, that is the fact of the matter. I do have an hour of my day, then I can go to the gym. Again, I made that choice. So sometimes I do apologize in that regard because I'm like, I don't have kids. I can do whatever I want. But I'm also not going to try and go out and change the world because I don't have kids. I'm happy the way that I am. I'm happy just having a simple life. And when we do travel, we do travel. Am I traveling all the time? No, but we like to travel twice a year. Travel comes with lots of money. And I'm saving for my retirement. And some people will be like, I had someone ask me this recently. It was so interesting because I never thought about it. Someone said, why did you buy your home if you have no one to leave it to?
Wow.
Yeah.
To live in it? I'm like, I would never think about having a house for that reason.
They were like, why don't you rent? And I was like, I never thought about that. And it's funny because I am a saver. My husband is a spender. And, there are times where I'm like YOLO and other times I'm like, no, I have to save.
Yeah.
My nieces and nephews are going to get it all. That's fine. I want them to live happy, pleasant lives. And if my money does that for them, that's amazing. But I don't sacrifice either. I go out and spend my money. I go do the things that I want. But again, I do have a job and I can only take a certain time off, out of the year to go places. But I do travel. I do the things, but I'm not doing it constantly because I have to be here.
Yeah. I'm curious, let's talk a little bit about your job as far as in the context of this
Yeah.
decision, because, I've had people say to me, and of course what I do is like very, I don't know, meta, if that's the right kind of use of that word, but the fact that like I help people with this decision, therefore there's meaning in it. And I myself
Yeah.
struggled with the decision, but people are like, oh, well, if you have a job or a business as meaningful as your own, like it's okay for you to be child free. Sort of like the idea of like if you have this big glamorous life, you're curing cancer.
Yeah.
I'm curious for you, like, and just in general, maybe it's not work, but like, do you feel like work therefore brings meaning because you don't have kids, or like, what's your relationship like with work in terms of this kids or child free decision and the meaning piece specifically, or impact or what have you?
Yeah. I mean, I love my job. It's creative.
Yeah.
I get to be creative. I get to do fun things. I get to meet interesting people. I get to go interesting places. And I do think being child free allows me to do a lot of those things. My manager has 2 children, and sometimes I see her struggle with the decision of whether she should go on the trip, whether she should do these things. And she's actually been better about it, which I think is great. Like she's experiencing more things now. But I do think I have, the one thing, and I don't think that this is the case for me in my job. Like a lot of people will be like, oh, because you don't have children, you can do more. You can stay later. You can, whatever it is. And I think that, I mean, the woman that manages me is just like, no, that's not the case. Like leave when you want, do your work, but then, head out the door. And she's incredible in that regard because she doesn't look at me as, oh, you don't have children, therefore you can do more. Like, yes, and the fact that like you can go to South Caicos, but, she doesn't expect me to like stay later or do more or things like that, where I think is a lot of the case for women when they don't have children. They're looked at as like they can pick up the slack for the mom.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. And I do think that's the case in a lot of jobs. I just don't experience that in my current job. I may have experienced it earlier, but, I also worked in restaurants where, again, that would have been hard to have children working in restaurants, but I was also older than most of the people working in the restaurant at the time. So I was able to do that because I didn't have kids. But if you have Marcos always said, if we had kids and, who knows if this would have been the case, we would have co-parented. And like, if you needed to go to the gym or you needed to do this, then I would watch the kids and vice versa. But I just feel like my job does give me a creative outlet to do things that I love and wonderful things to experience. And maybe that brings me extra happiness. I don't know. Sometimes at the end of the day, I do look at it as a job. I think that people are looking for this grand reveal, and I really don't think that exists. I think you just have to make your own happiness. And if that's traveling all the time, then do that. If it's, crocheting, then do that. If it's reading a book a week, then do that. But I just don't think it has to be something, grandiose.
Oh my gosh. I resonate so much with that. And I feel my life feels like immensely fulfilling or meaningful to me. And it's not because of any one big impactful thing that I'm doing or, experiencing. It's like, I was out with a dog today and I'm like noticing like the leaves on the tree and the way the raindrops are coming off of them. And I'm like enjoying my morning coffee with my dog cuddled up to me. And I'm like, these are the moments in my life. But like you say, I think even when people think about like, oh, the meaning of having a child, it's like, I don't think that's revealed. And of course I say this not as a parent, but like, it's not necessarily revealed in one magical, profound moment. It's like those little beautiful day-to-day tiny things that probably look insignificant from the outside, which is why people are like, I don't get it. I'm not seeing it. It's like, because you can't, like, you're not in that, like, I don't know, perspective or experience or connection or what have you. So I agree. I am curious to hear about, we've sort of already done this, but some of the myths around child-free women in terms of like how we are, what we're like, or our decision, what our lives are. Do you have any like top myths that you feel like we need to dispel, or maybe your own life is evidence to the contrary?
That we hate children.
Okay. Don't you hate children?
It's funny. It's like the older I get, like when there's a screaming baby on the plane, someone, or on the subway or whatever it is. And I honestly have come to a place in my life where I'm just like, that mom is doing the best that she can right now. And
Totally.
because her child is freaking out, you think she wants her child to be freaking out? She wants to crawl into a hole and like disappear,
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time I feel like when there is like a screaming kid or things like that, I'm just like, she's doing the best that she can.
Yep.
And I think that like, I don't hate children. I just personally don't want them. And I think that's one of the biggest myths. And another one, I don't know if it's a myth, but another one that I get is like, and this one is crazy because people are like, no one says that. And I'm like, no, everybody says that. Who's going to take care of you when you get older? Is like a huge one.
Who's it going to be, Tina? Tell us what you think about this.
It's like, you know what? My money is going to take care of me that I've been saving because I'm going to go in an assisted living, down in Florida or some bougie place. And I'm going to hang out with a bunch of old people my age. And I just think it's like, it's so crazy that is the question that people ask. Like literally, they're like, I should have children because I need someone to take care of me. And I'm like, your children are not put in place to take care of you.
Yeah. I feel so bad for anyone's children who if their parents think that, but I think a lot of parents do.
Yeah. I mean, why are you asking that question if you don't think that that's going to be something that happens?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh man. Okay. Funny with this thing, like I don't hate children, I just don't want them. And it's like, there's a lot of things in life we might not want, but we know we don't hate it. But it's weird with this that we think not wanting equals hating.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, like I don't want to be
you
an
just
astronaut.
like don't want to be
astronauts.
Or you just like don't want to be around children. Like someone gives you a baby to hold and you're like this, and you're like, no, like I'm a very nurturing person. Like,
yeah,
I come from like a mother that is honestly the ultimate mom. Mm-hmm. My mom was born to be a mother. Like she is just so beautifully natural at it. And like
my mom too. Funny.
Like everyone loves her because she's just so great. And I'm like, I feel so blessed that was my mother. Like that's who I was raised by, and like, it's so funny because some people are be like, oh, like she's also like watched many children. Like she's been like, not a nanny, but like a caretaker. And some people may have, like some women I think would look at it as like, oh, well, my mom wasn't there for me. And I'm just like, I am so happy that those people have experienced that love from my mother because like everyone should have that,
Yeah.
I don't know where I was going with that, but
I agree with you. Yeah.
But I just like, I'm very nurturing. I'm very nurturing to my husband. Like I want to take care of him. So, and some people may have something to say about that because I do try to very much take care of him, but he also very like today before this podcast, I'm like, babe, I got to do a podcast. I'd gotten him from the gym and I'm like, I got to do a podcast in a half hour. I need you to set up the perfect amount of lighting. But I need the computer in front of it. I need the plug in front of it. I went and took a shower. I came out and he's like, I got you. I got everything set up for you. You're ready to go. Cool. You are good to go.
Yeah. We can look after each other. There's nothing wrong with doing that. Yep. I understand. I think we're so sort of wary about this dynamic between men and women and how they interrelate. And we know, of course, a lot of women do much more of the physical, mental, emotional labor, but like, it doesn't mean that caretaking and tending is bad altogether and we shouldn't do it. And we show up in different ways. Yep. So
absolutely.
Very cool. You have that kind of supportive relationship. Yeah. Tell Marcos he did an amazing job. We're impressed. Kudos. What do you love best about your child-free life?
I honestly, that I could do whatever I want, that I don't have to answer to anybody. I can just be like, I'm out. I'm going to go do whatever it is I want today. And honestly, it's just like the easiness of it.
Yeah.
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 The focus on me, like
Amen.
Honestly, the focus on creating what life brings me the most happiness.
Yeah. It's like, I wish it wasn't a privilege, as far as I just wish this was a right that everyone had. But
Yeah.
like, it feels like such a gift to be able to do that. And I know people choose a child-free choice for a lot of different reasons. And even myself, I've come to understand it as sort of an intersection of maybe different experiences, my temperament, etc. But interesting that we both say we had like very tending, loving, wonderful mothers who've supported our decisions. And in a way, I wonder if that's given us sort of like the sense of empowerment that like, I can choose this. I get to like, it's interesting.
I bet you are right. I bet you're so right, because I think my mom always says to me, like, I am so proud of you. I am so proud of the person that you are, who you've become, what you have done. Like, honestly, my life and like the fact that I met like such a beautiful partner, she's always like, I am like, I'm fine. Like, I always like say, like, I think my parents just wanted ultimately to see me happy. And the fact that they see me happy now brings them so much peace and joy that like they can move on to the next, whatever it is, and know that I'm in a safe place.
Yeah. That's all anyone should and can want for their kids. Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. Yeah. I remember saying to my mom a few years ago, and it wasn't pertaining exactly to this decision, but I was just talking about life in general. And I said, I just feel so joyful and fulfilled in my life. Yeah. And she said, wow. She said, I don't think that many people can say that. And I think a lot of people are like, happy enough, it's okay. But I was like, I feel amazing. And she's like, great. So what more can we want for our kids? However that comes to be, whatever life looks like.
Yeah.
So
I also quickly, I had that conversation with my mom, maybe like, maybe 5 years ago or something. My mom was sick. And I remember I was caring for her, and I said, Mom, this is a hard conversation to have. I said, but I really want to have it. And I said, I apologize. I said, I'm sorry that Marcos and I aren't going to have a family. I said, but we are, very happy and very fulfilled. And she said, you know what? You don't ever have to apologize, because I have you, and that is all I need. Like, having you and having Marcos is brought me the most joy. And I don't want you to ever feel like you have let me down in any way. And it was like a blessing, it was, I knew that she was going to be that way, but I just wanted to, I just wanted to have the conversation and just be like, this is where we are. And it was great, and it was wonderful, and it felt very like reassuring.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay. Well, for anyone listening who thinks, God, I wish my mom would say something like that. Can your mom like adopt all the kids who need that kind of love and support? You said she's a caretaker.
She would.
Bless her heart. Yeah. Okay. Just one or two more things I want to touch on before we wrap up today, if we may. Yeah. There's so many more things. So you're 50.
Yeah.
And, a lot of the women making this decision, I work with women sort of ranging from, early mid 30s up to early 40s. Yeah. But I do hear from them sometimes, 32-year-olds, 35-year-olds, like, well, what's going to happen? Not just when I'm 70 or 80, but like, I don't know, when I'm like in my 50s. Can we just first of all point out the fact, like 50 is not old.
No.
At all. Like, I'm 44, also 44, not old.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have a commentary on like age in this decision, but I feel like, and this is partly pertains to making this choice, because it's hard for people to project to the future what they might want, how their desires might change. And people will say, what if when I'm 50, I decide I do want this? Like, can you maybe comment just on kind of the passage of time over the last decade or two since like those more fruitful, ripe childbearing years, if you will?
I know. I don't even, honestly, it happened so fast. I guess because I started a second career in my early 30s, that took me to where I am today, that I think I spent so much time like developing that and kind of moving through that all of a sudden it was like, I woke up and I was 50. But I had so much fun. Like in my 30s, I was like partying and doing all the things. So when I see these like 25-year-olds are like, I'm taking my, cherry cocktail and going to bed, I'm like, girl, you need to go out there and experience some life. You need to have some fun, maybe get drunk a few times. I don't know, like do some wild stuff, because even up into my 30s, I was having grand old time. And, like I said, I was working in restaurants in my early 30s, and those were like late nights. I was living in California at the time and like experiencing that. So when I moved back to New York, I think I was, in my early 30s. And then I found CrossFit, which was like a whole other exercise. I don't know if you know what CrossFit is.
Oh, I do. I have not done it because I think I'd vomit, but that's kind of the point, right?
So then I spent like 12 years doing that, and that kept me real busy. I do think you have to find something that you're passionate about that's going to lead you through. And whatever that is, like now my new passion is thrifting. So I'm like out thrifting all the time and doing that kind of fun stuff and like rediscovering fashion at 50. But I just like whether, you want to go out and learn how to bake cakes or make these like grand wedding cakes or whatever it is, I think that you do have to find something that you're passionate about that you can lean into. And maybe it's 5 things you're passionate about. Maybe it's 2, maybe it's 1, whatever it is. And it will lead you through time very fastly.
Yeah. I agree. I think, I sometimes frame it as even just having like projects or ideas, having like a bank of ideas of things I might like to do. Not to say you're necessarily going to do all of them. I've wanted Chris and I to do bachata dance classes for some time, which his work schedule seems prohibitive to that with travel. Yeah. We'd done some salsa before in the past. So now bachata is arguably sexier in some ways, but it's kind of a cool style. Like, I have ideas for like starting different businesses, and it's not to imply I'm going to do all those things, but I think when we have like a bank of ideas or inspiration or projects or things we'd like to pursue, we should be engaging in something. I'm not talking about just sitting on all of them, but it's almost like, it's a reminder that we'll be okay. That if we get to a point in life where we feel like we're thirsting for something else or more or a change, because I think the worry for some people, especially, I hear from people who are maybe feeling stagnant in other areas of their life, which I think is important to consider when we're making this choice, because somebody might say to me, I don't feel like I have much purpose in my life. And they feel like having a child might give them a sense of meaning and purpose. And I say to them, it might, and it's not my place to judge if that's the right choice for you, but you also want to be conscious about what's driving you, because I don't think a lot of people recognize that. And there are other ways we can create purpose and meaning that do not have to involve having a child. And if you decide to have a child, it's still good to have other outlets and ways of doing that, because it's going to put less pressure on your poor kid, right?
Yeah. Your whole identity shouldn't be your children. And that happens a lot. Oh, I got to take the kid to practice. I got to take the kid to lessons. Literally that is your whole purpose. So then what do you do when your kids are gone? Then what? You rediscovering yourself? Yes, but I also think that women younger than us have to find other women that are like them or that understand the decision that they're coming from. Because, I have a lot of mom friends, and when, people decide to have moms and leave you behind, I guess, like you have to be okay with the fact that your relationships are going to change. And you are going to probably spend some time alone, and you might be lonely. So you better like yourself or work on yourself, because there's going to be times where you're by yourself a lot, and you just have to like recognize that may happen.
Yeah. I think that's important. Having that enjoyment, spending time on your own or with your partner, if you're partnered. And then at the same time, I love that you mentioned like, and I'm actually curious to ask, like with you and sharing content online and talking about this child-free decision. And then you mentioned locally, like now creating some meetups. Like I love that you've taken the impetus of doing that, but what made you decide to start speaking about this decision and inviting other women into community with you?
It was so random. I just think that my husband were literally like he was expressing a loneliness.
Yeah.
And I was expressing a loneliness as well, because I was like, well, we've moved up to this community where we don't know a lot of people. And I'm like, I know that there's other women out there. Like, I know that we exist. And I just wanted to kind of embrace that. And I wanted to meet other women like me, because I have plenty of mom friends, just not a community that is like me. And there's so many of us out there that we're just like not, it's like dating. It's like you're just not connecting with the right people. So honestly, that's all it was just like meeting other people like me.
Yeah. Super cool. Good for you. I always say, got to be the change, right? Like, I'm not the only one who said that, by the way, but as it pertains to specifically this choice, if you feel like, God, where are my people? It's like, you got to be the person and try and I think foster some of those connections yourself. And it's not going to look like for everyone the same way you've done it going on Instagram or TikTok and, speaking about your experience, but it can be, go on meetup.com and like, or Facebook or ask about the friend of a friend. Like I think that can be a good way to make connections. If maybe one of your mom friends has another circle and there's someone else without kids that you've met, at a party or something, we have to kind of bridge that gap there between other people in our orbit that maybe we wouldn't have otherwise considered if we realized we want the child-free connection. So, okay, I think the last question I want to ask is actually a little bit of a story I'd love for you to relay, because you had a reel about this and I thought, okay, this is kind of cool and something we can chat about. And that is somebody recently, I think you were in a store or whatever, and they asked if you had kids. Tell us about this experience.
It's so funny. There's so many positive and negative comments on that reel. It's so funny. I was in this store. It was like a vintage store, and the woman was like very cool, very chic. Obviously she had been in the fashion industry. She was probably around the same age as me. And she was just like really chill. And there was no one in the store yet because it like just opened. And she was like, I'm in there, whatever time it was. I think it was the holiday weekend. So clearly I wasn't, doing anything. And she was like, oh, do you have any kids? And I was like, no, I don't. And literally all she said was, that's nice. And I was like, you're right. It is nice. But, and then I was like, oh, do you have any? And she goes, yeah, I have two older children. And she's like, oh, but they're in college and stuff like that. But the way she said it was so, I don't know, it just like spoke to me, because I just saw that she recognized the fact that like where a lot of people, do recognize the fact now, like I have one friend and she's like, she's like, I wouldn't change my life for a second. She has 2 kids. She's like, but I love that you're living your life the way that you want to live it. And like, kids are great, but it's not everything.
Yeah.
And, there was so many people on that thread that were like, and I've said this before, like women struggling with infertility, I feel for you. I'm so sorry. Like, it's hard. Because some people were like, why are we even asking this question? And I was like, yeah, I get it. Like, I totally get it. This woman was non-threatening. She wasn't trying. She was just being casual. And, it's like asking someone like, why are you so skinny or whatever, commenting on people's bodies. I get it. But, for me, it was a fine question because I had, a fine answer and I wasn't thoroughly affected by it, the decision made. But, it was just, I appreciated it because I understood where she was coming from when she said it. She was like, yeah, that's nice. You can just be here hanging out, enjoying this Saturday by yourself.
Yeah. And it sounds like there's a kind of neutrality too. Like, it's like, not like, oh, this is the best ever. This is the worst. Just like, it's nice. It's good. Yeah. It's there was a validation in that, right? Like, yeah. And I struggle a bit because on the one hand, I think, we should never be talking about this. And on the other hand, I'm like, well, no, we should be talking more about this decision in the sense of like, there's so much secrecy around both people who are undecided, people who've made this choice, people who by choice have been unable to have kids. And I appreciate where some of those negative comments might have come from because, maybe you're dealing with infertility or you'd wanted kids and they say, that's nice. And you're like, well, not really. But like, is that not better than saying like, oh, you poor thing, this is so terrible. Like, I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. It's true. I never thought about it like that. Like, well, you know what? You should really flip the script for yourself because if you can't have children and, you have to flip the script because ultimately you got to find happiness.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, you're going to be miserable for the rest of your life. I mean, sorry, but it's just like, that's not a way to live.
Yeah. I had a conversation. I don't know if you know Blooming with Care, I believe is her handle, Carrie Houskins, but she's child-free after infertility and also having had,
someone mentioned her to me.
Her daughter was stillborn at 8 or 9 months. Like she has a really hard story. She's had miscarriages individually, I think through surrogacy as well. But she's such a beautiful example of someone like she's moved through and continues to obviously have grief around this. And at the same time, she's found so much joy in her life without children as well. And just really beautiful, simple, life-giving moments and experiences. And I agree. I think, I'm sure it doesn't always feel like a decision when someone's moving through it. I'm not saying like, well, just buck up and deal with it. But I do think to your point, I think this can become, unfortunately, the infertility experience for some people, that becomes their lifelong story of like, well, and it's part of your story, but I don't know, does it have to be the one defining thing? Again, I'm probably not the person to speak to this, but we've got a few episodes in the bank for anyone who's interested from people who've gone through that and have come through and to embrace a life without kids. So
yeah.
All right. Anything else today, Tina, you want to share on this topic of your child-free decision or
I mean, I feel like
child-free choice?
We could probably have a part 2 on so many things, but I do feel pretty great in how I've portrayed my life. And, you know, if someone's like deciding this decision, it's ultimately a great place to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Where can people find you if they want to, come hang out online?
Yeah, on Instagram or TikTok. Both of them are the Salt Gypsy, but they're just spelled differently. I don't know if you have like show notes or whatnot.
I do have show notes. We'll stick it right in the show notes, and I'll be tagging you on Instagram and whatnot.
Yeah, you can find me there, and you can also find me on Good Housekeeping. I do a lot of food content over there. And
cool.
Yeah, that's it.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much.
Did you know that you can not only listen to the Kids Are Child-Free podcast, but you can actually also watch the Kids Are Child-Free podcast by checking out the Kids Are Child-Free YouTube channel? Yes, it is true. You know what? I love having these conversations with my guests, and I just feel like when we're able to immerse ourselves in the visual experience of these really important conversations, it lends just that much more. I've also been told, side note, Chris was totally teasing me the other day saying, my God, look at your expressions. He loves my very expressive face, but you can see me making all the faces, all the reactions when I talk to my guests. That in itself, I would say, is entertainment enough. No? In any case, check out the YouTube channel. Again, you'll find every episode of the Kids or Child-Free podcast on there. And you can also check out a bunch of different short form videos on there, other podcasts that I've appeared on. We've got all kinds of good stuff for you, again, on the Kids Are Child-Free YouTube channel, which I will link in the show notes of this episode. Make sure you subscribe when you head over there. And if there's an episode you love, leave us a little love, share some thoughts, ask some questions. I will do my very best to respond to each one of you over there on YouTube. All right, that is all from me. Thank you so much and have a beautiful day.